Despite heavy-handed police tactics and unprecedented security blockades, thousands of peaceful supporters gathered in London to attend a rally in support of Tommy Robinson. Though Robinson himself was barred from attending due to an arrest the previous day, his presence resonated powerfully through video messages and a series of documentaries showcasing his citizen journalism. With large screens set up, Robinson's recent work was broadcast to a supportive crowd who defied police restrictions to reach Parliament Square. Now, let's take a look at a clip of the protesters who gathered in support of Tommy Robinson, even in the face of these extreme restrictions.
What's in the backpack?
It's a computer.
A computer?
It allows us to live stream to the big bosses.
So are you doing some facial recognition?
No, we don't have any of that.
Really? Well, then what are you live streaming?
Just what's going on.
Ezra Levant, a Canadian journalist covering the rally, described the extreme police measures firsthand. He noted the presence of riot police on horseback, officers wielding metal helmets, and heavily restricted access points. According to Levant, only one narrow route allowed Robinson's supporters entry to the rally area, with anti-personnel fences and barricades blocking off all other access points to Parliament Square. The restrictions on Robinson's supporters were a sharp contrast to the relatively open treatment of recent large-scale pro-Hamas protests in the same area, where participants were free to move about without police interference. Despite these obstacles, Levant reported that thousands of Robinson's supporters made it to the rally, undeterred by police presence. Attendees included entire families, elderly supporters, and even young children. The rally remained peaceful and patriotic, with supporters standing in solidarity as videos of Robinson's work on censorship and free speech played on large screens. Even in his absence, Robinson's message reverberated through the crowd. Levant, however, made it clear that his main reason for travelling to the UK was not to cover the rally, but to attend Robinson's court hearing scheduled for Monday. At this hearing, a judge will decide whether Robinson faces prison time over his latest documentary, which addresses censorship and the risks facing independent journalism. The legal clash centres on alleged contempt of court related to Robinson's reporting, and his defence team, funded by public donations, has retained a top barrister to represent him. Robinson has been adamant about standing by his work, refusing to concede that his journalism crossed legal lines, even if it could result in a prison sentence. Levant plans to live tweet and report in real time from the courtroom on Monday to ensure that the proceedings are accurately portrayed. His commitment to covering Robinson's case comes from past experiences where he felt the mainstream media's portrayal of events didn't align with reality. During Robinson's previous trials, Levant often sat near journalists from mainstream outlets, only to find their published reports starkly different from his own observations. He recalled one troubling instance in a recent case where a journalist urged the judge to make Robinson's home address public, an action that could have endangered his family. Levant sees this as further proof that the public needs independent reports on Robinson's legal battles, unfiltered by what he perceives as a biased media narrative. In other major news, a new UK poll is stirring debate on whether Britain should pay reparations to Commonwealth countries for its historical role in the transatlantic slave trade. The debate was sparked after Prime Minister Keir Starmer recently agreed to sign a Commonwealth communiqué acknowledging the need to discuss reparations. Initially, Starmer had insisted that reparations were not on the agenda. However, under mounting pressure from Caribbean leaders and Labour backbenchers, he agreed to future discussions on the subject, marking a significant shift in the government's stance. This change has sparked backlash from critics who feel Starmer should focus on current economic and environmental issues instead of engaging in historical reparations debates. Some warn that discussing reparations could burden the UK financially, while others argue that addressing this chapter of history is overdue. With the issue now set to be formally debated at the UK Caribbean Forum next year, Starmer's shift has reignited a divisive debate, both within the UK and among Commonwealth nations. Labour MP Bel Ribeiro Addy criticised the UK government's apparent reluctance to issue a formal apology for its colonial past, suggesting that the hesitation might stem from fears of legal liability. Foreign Secretary David Lammy, a long-time advocate of reparations, has also faced scrutiny, with Conservative MP Andrew Rosindell suggesting that Lammy's stance could compromise the UK's interests. Starmer's decision to appoint Lammy to a prominent diplomatic role has been controversial, as opponents argue it opens the door to increased demands from other nations. Labour MP Bel Ribeiro Addy criticised the UK government's apparent reluctance to issue a formal apology for its colonial past, suggesting that the hesitation might stem from fears of legal liability. Foreign Secretary David Lammy, a long-time advocate of reparations, has also faced scrutiny, with Conservative MP Andrew Rosindell suggesting that Lammy's stance could compromise the UK's interests. Starmer's decision to appoint Lammy to a prominent diplomatic role has been controversial, as opponents argue it opens the door to increased demands from other nations. In domestic economic news, former Justice Secretary Sir Brandon Lewis has voiced his concerns over Labour's economic direction, warning that proposed tax increases and changes to stamp duty could drive high earners and businesses out of the UK. Lewis argued that while policies targeting top earners may seem politically appealing, they miss a critical point. In a globalised economy, businesses and high-income individuals have the freedom to relocate to tax-friendly regions. With Labour's rumoured budget plan on the horizon, Lewis highlighted the risks of what he called wealth flight, a phenomenon where businesses and individuals move their wealth abroad to escape rising tax burdens. Lewis emphasised that competitive tax rates and stable regulatory policies are essential for attracting and retaining investment in the UK. He warned that Labour's tax plans could not only discourage investment, but also hinder job creation, especially as the UK faces post-Brexit economic challenges. Industries reliant on innovation, such as AI, cybersecurity, and technology, need both a supportive tax environment and freedom from excessive regulation to thrive, Lewis explained. The former Justice Secretary also cautioned that increased stamp duties could impact not just wealthy homebuyers, but also first-time buyers, by limiting housing supply. Higher stamp duties, he argued, discourage home sales, reduce the availability of affordable housing, and ultimately limit new development projects. Lewis called on Labour to ensure that its economic policies match its promises, particularly as Chancellor Rachel Reeves prepares to unveil Labour's new budget. With investors and business leaders eagerly awaiting Reeves's economic blueprint, there is significant pressure on Labour to promote policies that foster growth and market stability. Sir Brandon Lewis underscored the importance of maintaining a favourable environment for businesses and top earners to keep the UK competitive on a global stage.